Welcome to Fresh Tech Tips. I'm Derrell Noris, CEO of Fresh Tech Solutions. And today I have a couple of my awesome business partners with me today.
What's up, Derrell? Nicholas Mbaezue-Daniel, founder of Aegis Project Management, LLC.
And I'm Dr. Doug Franklin, CEO and co-founder of Declaunch, LLC. How you guys doing today?
I'm doing pretty great, Doc. What about you, Nick?
Good, man. It's good to see y'all.
Definitely. So today's Fresh Tech Tip topic is networking necessities. Nick, what do we mean by network? Hit me with one of those Nicholas definitions.
Yeah, I mean, everybody knows or thinks they know about networking. So, but the definition for networking is the action or process of interacting with others to exchange information and develop professional or social contacts. For us, we're pretty much more concerned with business relationships, ones that are going to lead to money.
And so one of those things that's really cool is we look at this in organizational behavior and strategy. And when they talk about how you build things out and make sure that your business does well, or even if you're doing well socially, it is about who you know. And we do talk about it the exact same way. So even though we talk about networking informally, it's really prevalent in research as well through social networking. And looking at the ties that you have with different people, or for organizations, different organizations.
Yeah. So today I really want to hit on three different topics. I want to hit on why is it important to network? Why should we do this? How to network, and then we want to talk about leveraging and maximizing your network. So let's jump right into this thing, guys. So let's get into it. Why network? Let's talk about sourcing clients. I think that's the obvious one, just sourcing clients and getting your name out there to find those leads.
Yeah, and I know when we were talking about this, you definitely have a story to tell us about some of your first few clients. And I know definitely you definitely hit a lot of networking events, and you made a lot of valuable relationships from there. So that's definitely a big thing that people should know, that it's going to come from networking. You're going to learn, you're going to make relationships that are definitely going to get you either income directly from the person as a client, or from them knowing somebody else who could be a client for you.
Yeah, and I think one of the reasons why I care so much about networking is because when I first started my business, that's all I knew how to do. That's all I knew what to do. I was just going to every networking event that I could find, and I closed my first client actually at a networking event. Told him I developed apps. He was like, "I've been looking for you." So ever since then, I've always been very, very passionate about networking, because you never know who's in the room and who's looking for you.
Yeah, I completely agree. Since we're sharing networking stories and how they benefit, my first consulting opportunity came from someone who remembered me from a fraternity meeting, Eric Lyons, and he just happened to catch me at a conference, and we talked a little bit about my background, and the next thing you know, I started working on consulting, and it became a thing, and then here we are with Declaunch.
No, definitely. And the next reason why we should network is for that word of mouth marketing. Is giving you that exposure, letting people know who you are, and that's very important, especially if you're consistent. When people start taking you serious, when you're consistent about stuff, and they start seeing that you're at these events that are bettering yourself, and it's just a way for people to realize you're serious.
Yeah, and whenever some of Derrell's introduced me, I've been to a few networking events with Derrell, and it's when you see him interact with some of the people that he networks with, and you can see, first of all, that this is not like the second or third or fifth time. They're not just there from the networking events. They probably meet each other over multiple networking events, and they actually have a rapport with each other, that there's a friendship there. So when you have that kind of connection with people, just whenever something comes up that's even remotely in the sphere of what you're able to do, they're going to think of you automatically. It's completely different from, it's better than any marketing that you can get, any ad or any kind of material that you can give out to people, because they have a connection with you. They're going to remember you just from a human interaction. They felt you, they know what you feel like, and they become, actually, they're rooting for you. They want to help you, so they're motivated. So that's so invaluable when you talk about getting your name out there or marketing yourself.
Absolutely. You got to think about right now, even since we're not really supposed to be around too many people, but just the concept of when you jump on Facebook, how many times a day do you see, can you guys tell me someone who does this service? You know, someone who builds websites? Do you know someone who is a caterer? These things are all over Facebook all the time. And there's nothing better than seeing somebody that you say, who's that? And they're either mentioning your name or they're mentioning your business. Mm-hmm. It came from, where did it come from? It probably came from either a networking event where you met these people, or you happen to meet someone within a couple degrees of separation of the person that you put that you influenced or had a good interaction with. And so you really don't know who you're touching, and that's why it's really important to network, because it may not just be the first person you talk to. It might be the person that person you network with talks to.
Yeah, and it's all about, another good thing you can do is, another good reason why to network is actually to meet those referral partners and make those partnerships. And those have been valuable for me. My main developer, I actually met her at a networking event. So that's a partnership that's been, pretty much, there's nothing compared to that, the partnership that me and her had. And we just met at a networking event. And so it's been, ever since then, like I said from the beginning, I meet a lot of these important pieces to the puzzle at these things.
Yeah, and just think about how vital referrals and partnerships are. So if it's a referral, you're talking about someone helping build your sales funnel and your sales pipeline and alleviating some of that time for you. We talked about it a couple times in some of our other podcasts, where you're only going to have so much capacity. And so if you have to search for 10 clients a month, and you have someone who's out here who can possibly find 2 to 3 clients for you on your behalf, think about the resources that you save. The same thing with partnerships. Maybe you end up networking with somebody and they tell you, just like what Derrell had an experience with, is you're the person that I need, not necessarily for a client, but as a partnership. Maybe you're filling a hole that they have and they're filling a hole that you have. Now you're doing less work than you normally would have to. And so those are the things that you want to think about as you're networking, because not only are you just trying to meet people that will benefit you at some point, they can help you scale your business as well.
Yeah, and and if we just move that forward a little bit, networking with people, other than just referral and, just making those connections, it's also a way to increase your knowledge base, to increase whatever it is that your business is doing. If it's not maybe finding a new opportunity for white label, which we'll talk about later, is learning something new that you haven't thought about before, some new avenues. Just that exchange of information, exchange of ideas always makes everybody better. And also something that Doug and Derrell and I do as well is, now the more people you have in your network, the more you're able to connect other people to it. So that's how you actually start to double up or increase exponentially your value to other people, because they know, hey, if I need something, let me call this person. He probably knows 1 or 2 people who can help me, or knows someone who can help me. That's a way to keep your name on people's lips, keep your business on the forefront of some people's minds. So it's definitely a positive.
Yeah. So let's get into this how. How do we network? So there's a lot of different ways that we can go about getting out there. And since we're in mid-crisis right now, let's start out with this virtual thing. We know there's not too many in-person networking events going on right now, and that's okay because there's still virtual ones going on. And
well, there's a good. This,
go ahead, Doc.
Rel, I really think that you should in talking about virtual, really go and talk about some of the ventures that you have with regards to virtual networking.
Yeah, so I'm in a couple of networking groups that were in person pre-COVID-19. One of them is LEAD. I'm a part of a group called LEAD, and they were meeting every Wednesday. That particular chapter was, and since there's no meetings, everybody kind of thought the thing was gonna stop existing. But what happened was they converted to a Zoom meeting, so they still meet. They still have that connection. They're still maintaining those relationships. Same thing for my networking group, for Texas Professional Network. We meet every Thursday, and it's all virtual now. We actually went back in person a little for about 2 weeks when things opened up again, but currently we're still doing virtual. So there's options out there. There's all kind of virtual networking events and ways to connect with people still during these crazy times.
No, that's a blessing in disguise right now, because like you said, a lot of networking events where it was only in person. I mean, you're just one person, even if you have a team of 4 or 5. Like, how many of these can you hit? But now with a lot of these networking events going virtual, even some of them have recordings. There's a list of people. You can see a list of who's attending. It kind of gives you a little bit more avenues, more ways to get in contact with people. It gives you ability to attend more. So that's one of the blessings that have come in disguise. It changes the experience because you're not in person. It's hard for someone to feel you and remember you like that, but you can still make some of those meaningful contacts over the virtual platforms.
And don't forget the organizations that you're affiliated with. A lot of them, whether it be the schools that you went to, some of the clubs, organizations, the civic groups that you have memberships to, they're dying to make sure that they keep you engaged. And so they probably are having Zooms and Google Meets all the time. And so this is a prime time for you to be able to catch up with people that you haven't seen for a while, or just find some new people that are really trying to make it happen, either during this current pandemic or when the pandemic starts to subside. So there's a lot of opportunity there for you.
Yeah, and another good thing about virtual events now that a lot of people are not thinking about is you can actually go past your geographical boundaries. Most of the time when people network, they're thinking people around me, who's close to me, who I can network with. Now that things are virtual, you can really, expand those services, expand those businesses, expand those networking opportunities to outside of your comfort zone, your comfort region, shall I say?
Yeah.
And speaking of those kind of geographical boundaries, there's a lot of conferences and things going on. Nick, let's talk about our little canceled conferences secret.
Yeah, no, I was starting to touch on it. Those lists of attendees is very, very valuable information. People spend thousands and thousands of dollars in compiling lists of contacts, lists of emails. They have email management systems or whatever, just to manage people, to build up a list of people that you can reach out to when you need to either get business or do any kind of business. And on these conferences, they've already done some of the work for you. You've already curated a long list of key contact people who are in your industry, who are active, who could be valuable to you. So even when the conference is canceled, you still have that list. You can still reach out to a few people, do a little bit of research. Oh, this person is doing this. I really want to connect with you. And also now you have an avenue to go in to start the conversation with, hey, I was going to be attending this conference and we know it's canceled, but I really still wanted to get in touch with you. And, it's somewhere, it's kind of a warm lead, if lukewarm, maybe not completely warm, a lukewarm lead to start talking to people about. And so that's definitely something that you can do. And this is something that definitely I know I need to do. Doug, you mentioned the PV, the alumni stuff, those things. this is definitely things for us to continue to leverage. So.
Yeah, and we, you know, we've kind of already talked about the virtual events and you know, planned events. You know, normally those would be in-person events. It's for a company like us, we're looking for, you know, tech events, incubators, accelerators, you know, things where tech companies would flourish at. So right, but so we talked about planned events. Now let's talk about some of this impromptu networking.
Yeah, I feel like you should talk about it.
So this is probably my favorite networking, actually. I'm always in app world over here, no matter where I'm at. I'm always thinking about apps. I'm always talking to people about apps and why they don't have one and why they should get one. So what we mean by this is, you know, wherever you're at, if I'm out to eat at a restaurant, you know, I could easily strike up a conversation about, you know, whatever it may be, and you know, you never know who you're by. I never stop networking, no matter where I'm at. I never stop trying to expand my network and my knowledge. And you know, this could be anywhere. You know, that literally anywhere. And Doug, I know you you have some impromptu networking that you like to do at a certain cigar shop.
Certain cigar shops, multiple
shops.
Yes, shops. Yeah, so I'm notorious for not wanting to work in the office every single day, and even sometimes I will dip off and I will go and just sit in so one of the many great spots here in the Houston area, because first they have Wi-Fi, so I can still work and everything is safe. And then, but then a lot of times you get people in there that just they'll sit down next to you, and as soon as you don't look busy, they're gonna ask you, so what do you do? And so it got to a point that if I go pop by, even if it was just to pick up a cigar on the way home, a lot of times I'd end up giving out 3 to 4 cards every time I walk in somewhere, because it's either me making a new interaction with somebody, or I'm reactivating an old network, and they're asking me for some additional cards for their community. And so it's a pretty cool thing. I thought I was just doing it just to get, you know, to get a change of pace for my brain, and then next thing you know, I'm networking, and it's just funny because I always talked about how Rel would always find leads by being out and about, and then I turned into like old Rel pretty much. So it's just wherever you go, you definitely have an opportunity to network. So just, you know, keep that on the back of your mind.
That's definitely something that I'm definitely behind on these two guys. They do it more naturally. I'm definitely not that much of a people's person. I'm working on that. And so, but when you get out in public, and I like to be at coffee spots and where people are working, everybody has a computer out. When you get out in a place with that kind of vibe, it's good to expect that somebody's going to see what you're doing and want to talk to you, because everybody's on there. Maybe everybody's entrepreneurs or whatnot. So you need to be prepared. That's the thing. So if you're not expecting it, or if you don't want those interactions, likely when it comes to you, you're going to be surprised. I know I've definitely been surprised a few times. But if you're prepared for, you know, hey, the first opportunity I get, I'm going to tell somebody about my business, or somebody's going to ask me, and you're prepared. That way, you're not surprised. Things will go a lot smoother in that scenario.
Yeah, preparation is key, and it kind of brings us to our next how. How do you prep for networking? You have to be prepared. You have to have an elevator pitch. You have to have something down and something that you're comfortable with. Don't sound like you're reading. You have to have, and networking events help with this. You know, because at the ones I go to, you say your pitch at least 20, 30 times. So, you know, by the time you leave that networking event, that one event, you should be an elevator pitch expert on your pitch.
Right.
You know, so and so another thing that I always tell people to do is if you're going to these events and you're getting all these business cards, don't do it for no reason. Don't go home, put them in your desk and never see them again, because the whole point of everything you just did was pointless. So follow up, please follow up. Another thing that I see a lot, and we'll touch on the follow-ups. We'll touch on the follow-ups later, but the last thing that I see a lot is don't be salesy. Even though we're at a networking event, it's business. I mean, I get sold to 40 times a day. Just don't make it. Just what I like to do, and I'm really giving out the secret sauce now. Oh gosh.
I'm listening.
So what I like to do at networking events, when I meet somebody, of course I tell them what I do, but when they're telling me what they do, I'm instantly thinking to my digital Rolodex, who can I connect them with to help them, or who can I give them a client? You know, how can I help them? How can I give them value? Because I'm a firm believer that if you give somebody value, they might not give it back, but somebody will. It's just the way of the universe. So it's gonna come back, and then even if it doesn't come back from that person, they're realizing, hey, this guy's not trying to sell me. This guy just gave me a client. Maybe I should try to get him a client. You know, and that's how I am. Somebody brings me a client, I'm like, oh, what do I need to do? How do I pay that back? So yeah, man, it's just don't be salesy. Just be natural, and I gotta stop giving away the secret sauce.
No, I mean, get back on that a little bit. I'm sorry, Doug. Being intentional, because that's going to lead to one of the things that we talked about. Because sometimes there is no connection there, so don't force a connection. Sometimes you listen to somebody, you guys talk, and everything, even though you guys have the best intentions, there's no way you can help each other. You can't help them get clients. You guys are just way completely opposite. Don't try to force it, because that's when you start getting salesy. Because if you're just really trying to convert, beat the dead horse and really trying to convert something, if it's not there, it's not there. You can still get a business card. Maybe things will change, but if you're being intentional, being honest, you should be it's okay to be like, I don't really think that we can, there's nothing here, and you just keep it moving. So that way your interactions are not fake. Your interactions are real, and they're rewarding.
Yeah, and we also talk about this in one of our shows when we talk about marketing. And the reality is that people don't want something that is contrived anymore. They want something that's way more authentic. They want people to come across as sincere. One of the funniest networking stories I can share, where Derrell and I were out somewhere and met a guy who seemed to be a promising person for networking, and he sent me an email that had nothing to do with anything that we talked about whatsoever. And so then I just called Derrell to say, hey man, this doesn't look like anything we talked about with this gentleman. He said, you're right. And he's like, man, he just sent me this email that said nothing about where he met me and things of that nature. So we went and compared email screenshots. It's the exact same email. We called somebody else that was with us at the same time, got the same email. Boilerplate emails, probably not good business.
He didn't care.
He wasn't listening. He was just basically shooting his shot as many times as possible. And even though we support you looking for opportunities, it's probably better for you to be a little bit more accurate with networking than being a volume shooter.
Situations like that is only going to lead to people not wanting to do anything for you. Like, and if you meet the wrong person, you might have rubbed them the wrong way, and now you might have made an enemy. So it's better to say no.
Yeah. So let's get into leveraging and maximizing your network. Nick, I know you've been waiting for this one.
Yeah. This is what I thought was like the main things. I know a lot of people already know. The idea is familiar about networking. They know that they should do it. Maybe they don't know how or where to go. But I mean, converting those networks, I mean, people have stacks and stacks of business cards, and sometimes they're just like, oh man, I'm not even going to do this. So I feel like there's a better way to actually after spending all that time networking, to actually get the rewards of doing that. And the first thing is managing those contacts, those cards, finding a system that works for you. So if collecting 50 to 150 or how many thousands of business cards over a week of networking that doesn't help you convert that into some kind of system where you can reach out to people, and stop doing business cards. Do something else. Find a way, some kind of system so that you can start to collect that information and put it into somewhere where you can use it when you actually need to use it. Because chances are you're not going to be ready to use all those contacts that you got. You might need them for later down the line, and someone's going to hit you be like, oh wait, I met somebody here sometime. You should be able to go back and be able to, send out that message at that time. If it's a stack of business cards and you have to look through, by the time you look through like 10 of them, you're probably just gonna let it go. So a big part of that is managing those contacts.
Yeah, and that has a lot to do with who you are as a person. So find out what works for you, and do that. So for me, it's a great example. I was a victim of that. Definitely had a box of business cards of like, I don't know, probably about 1,000. I'm like, I need to do something with these business cards, and I wasn't finna enter in 1,000. So I just, posted a post on Facebook. Hey, anybody want to do data entry? $100. It was done. It's just that simple. So let's talk about let's talk about selling through your network.
Yeah. So when you talk about selling through your network, what you're doing is this is your time to ask people to help. So if you're in the world of networking, if everybody uses some of these jewels or these fresh tech tips that we're giving you, and they're willing to help you, and they said that they are, then you might as well take the opportunity to send a quick email or a phone call to say, hey, I'm looking for this type of client. Do you know anybody in your network, or can you put me in the direction to do that? That is one of the easiest things for you to do, because the worst thing that someone can say is only no. So you're back off at square one if they say no, and you just spent 5 to 10 minutes just to send a quick email or for a phone call. It's probably going to take you a lot less time than prospecting on your own. And that's one of the things you got to do. You just have, if you're going to get those cards, just like Russ said, you might as well use them.
Yeah, so that's the great definition of selling through your network. Nick, let's talk about selling for your network.
Yeah, so, and this would be white labeling. So if you have your services, your core services, right? There may be some things within your industry, but maybe in your sphere, that you're not doing right now for whatever reason, but you meet somebody who's doing those things or who has the capability to do those things, incorporating that service under your umbrella and offering it to your clients or to the clients that you meet, and then just doing an upcharge and then sending that work over to whoever this contact is to actually complete the work. So it's a win-win for both parties. I mean, all three parties and your client as well, for you, your client, and this person that you connected with. And it gets that good ecosystem of generating money for everybody. So that's something that is probably one of the more valuable things on here. But some of the things that people don't talk about, I mean, the concept is fine, but how do you make it work? Because there's some things to think about, some things not to do when you're trying to white label. For example, don't do, like I mentioned, don't do anything that doesn't go with your business. So if you're fresh tech, maybe don't sell fish. I mean, no matter what the price is, we can't white label fish selling. This is what it is. You have to stay close. Even I mean, but even within your industry, there's some things within tech. There might be a few things within tech that may not be best for fresh tech to do. So you have to be really honest about it. Just because the opportunity is there, you got to just think past just the money and think about other things that could be reasons why you shouldn't do that.
Yeah, man, I love this conversation today, and I really love how important networking is. Thank you guys for joining. So in conclusion, I just want to just stress that networking is great, but networking with everyone isn't. Be strategic about who you let into your network and which networks you're associated with, because the marketplace is watching. because your network truly is your network. It's been a pleasure. We appreciate your precious time. Please join the Fresh Tech Tips Facebook group and tune in every Monday at 12 o'clock on Facebook Live. And we're also on every other platform that has podcasts. Thanks for joining Fresh Tech Tips. We'll see y'all on Monday.